Alrighty, welcome to Nycos RPG. I'm Jonathan Albin, Great Games at Your Table, and tonight we are going deep into the lore of Nycos. So if you are ready, we will be having independent reports from each of the regions, and we'll bring you up to date on what's going on with all of the campaigns, as well as some background information on regions that are currently not active in the battlefields. If you have been here before and you want to become part of our community, push all the buttons down below and like and subscribe and all of that, and consider taking a look at our Patreon account at patreon.com/Nycos. But before then, let's get started, shall we? Now, in the case of our reporting, we will be bringing the reports from the areas from the north to the east to the south and to the west. We're going to start with our first reporter in behind enemy lines. We will be talking with Throckmorton P. Thidwhistle, our gnome reporter from the area near Olmara. It is an undisclosed location, so we are bringing you the most recent information we can and providing you information from the sources where they are. If you want to know more information, check out nycosrpg.info. And if you want to become a member of our community, also check out nycosrpg.com. Hello, I am Throckmorton P. Thidwhistle, and I am bringing you the report from the north. We are currently entrenched deep behind enemy lines, and we have had so much recent information. It does appear that the Imperator still is trying to put his hooks into the local region, and unfortunately it does appear that one or more of the hands of Olma have unfortunately fallen to the Imperator's suggestions. It is important to note that they have not yet successfully begun to create or build a center here in the community, so we are as yet preserved from that indignity, but there are those who we might be able to get additional information from that are in the city near us called Bastion, and so the, shall I say, my associates will be traveling there to gather further information for you in the coming hours. Now, it is also important to note that they have had a difficulty understanding or contemplating the questions that have been asked through the Raven News Network, and so they are endeavoring to get better information, both from the other enjoined around the world, but also in particular those that have been asking them particular questions. So do follow, if you are in our community, at our Discord account, in particular the Raven News Network, where the players actually communicate between the various campaigns and carry on information that is clandestine and not communally accessible. Now, it is important to note that this particular group here in the north and behind enemy lines is continuing to operate with fair efficiency, and there will be additional information as it becomes available, as well as their continued endeavors to find out more about what's going on here. Howdy, I am your reporter from the East, Evan Moore, and I want to bring you as much information as is available. Now, we are going to be talking about the region along the eastern coast of the continent of Yarlum, and so allow me to show you where that is in particular on our map cam. Alrighty, as you can see here, the east is a rather long distance from the north in terms of fronts, and As yet, there are no signs of any marching or standing military of the empire anywhere this far east. So the threat that the imperator imposes has not yet come to fruition on this continent. However, in particular in the south, in the region near Snowlands Calling, there have been eyewitness reports of a great fleet, vessels sailing under crimson sail, that have made landfall along this region in particular, and in sufficient numbers to be a perhaps credible threat to both the government of Bylos and as well against the city of Canaveral, which is the first hold, if you will, of the Mir. So this entire region, it may be exploding into violence in the next few weeks, but as of now, we don't have any specific information on their activities. It is clear that Snowland is maintaining her residence at Snowland's Call, and adventurers have also verified that the town of Banbury has been a scene of some localized violence, but we haven't gotten any particular details of that conspiracy, and we will keep you apprised. Now, we do have to report, unfortunately, that the enjoined adventurers who were last seen operating out of Selk have apparently vanished as they've moved northward. It's claimed that they were headed for Candle's Keep, but they have fallen silent, and no reports have come out of Selk or out of Candle's Keep about their current location. So they may or may not be safe, and we will bring you more information as it is available. As we are still talking somewhat about the East, we also want to mention the fact that the pirates of Barbas have reinforced and reinvigorated their raids against foreign shipping traveling along both the coast of Yarlum, but also making forays deeper into the Twain Sea, and there are some scenes, or some signs, I should say, of raids made against other coastal cities. So be aware of that. That will end what I have to say. So let's move to the next region. Welcome to the South, and this is your news agent from Tenerife. I have been operating here for some time under the title of Underscore, and I'm trying not to make a very public appearance here as situations have become rather severe. The attempt to find the missing Isfantir family continues, but there's now been recent violence between the factions within the city, which have caused a functional community lockdown. There have been very few ships, I should say, that have been able to leave ports under the deep scrutiny of the harbor master, and so with the reduced travel here, it does appear that there are few in this area that support the open claims being made concerning the Luthanen and the Eldrin armies to the north. there is open disdain in certain families, and a suggestion that the sect-gen connection, that is to say, Queen I messed up her name. Queen Catelyn Noir and his eminence Tonderu of the Ponderese has fomented a bit of nervousness from the sect-gen of the city. Tenerife is normally a fairly peaceful place and has a great appeal for tourists, but that has been pretty much laid to rest in recent weeks, as there have been several altercations, even in the best of clubs here, including several dozen assassinations of those who would be supportive of the moves to support the Luthanen overall. In particular, the family Athira has been put on notice by both Osprey and Dezarin concerning their possible complicity when it was known that the Queen and her consort, if you will, were here in the city some time ago, and this heightened frustration has caused the Athira family to go underground and abandon their holdings in the city, which of course has led to many conflicts between the Jarring and the Jagera in terms of who gains possession of those resources if the Athirans have indeed withdrawn from the city. More will be coming to that when it's available as well. Going back to the map for a second, I want to explain where the news of the South is deriving from. And so it is across the Twain Sea, and in particular has to do with the kingdoms of the South, Zenobia, Mecania, and Neomoria. And these areas have become rather active. As a matter of fact, the Mercanians are said to be creating the largest flotilla in historic times in order to produce military support for their allies in the northern conflict. And there may be additional news reports from this area because the Pirates of Barbas have already claimed that they will stop any attempt by the Mercanians to interfere in the conflicts in the north. So this will lead to quite a few conversations, I'm sure, as people try to determine whether or not the Pirates of Barbas are doing so in order to support the incoming Terran armies of the Middle Kingdoms, or if this is some other kind of ruse on their part. Trying to get my reporting hat on here properly. Alrighty. Well, I guess it's left just to me to report. Our reporter in the field to the west hasn't yet shown up for the week, so I'll take over, I guess, and explain. The Luthanans' forces have recorded their first victory in the fields against the Imperator's armies in a field near Corwin. After a brief and arguably well-deserved rest by the armies of the Luthanan in their forward position, they were able to engage the Imperator's legions in the field, engaging fully 3 legions against the Luthanans' relatively small force of a legion and a half. And despite being outnumbered and outgunned, as the Imperator seems to have elicited one of the fell dragons, the Luthanans' superior air combat unit of winged Aven Riders was able to not only allay and delay the dragonic attack, they were indeed able to overcome and destroy the beast. The armies were slightly less effective, as they did determine that they do have a weakness, and that is in the area of cavalry. But their air cav fortunately was able to rejoin the fray after downing the dragon and literally turned the tide against the Empire. Empire forces did make a withdrawal and have retrenched in the area southwest of Ulmara, and while they have not been able to officially overtake Ulmara, there have been several inroads made by the Empire's rather effective subterfuge campaigns to undermine the Luthanans' hold in the areas between here and the western edge of the Empire's official boundaries. So the challenge is that the resource that we might have been able to call upon from the Heralds of the Change group has run into a snag, because they have apparently been lured into interacting with one of the storm cities and are currently involved in that area, and so we have lost communication with them as well. So that will bring us up to date on what's going on there. We do now have an equal time commitment requirement placed on us by the Gnome News Network, and this is a report from the Imperator's command structure. Please stand by for that report. Good evening and welcome, sir, to the news of the Empire. There is a considerable amount of misinformation being bandied about out there, and it needs to come to a stop immediately. We have endeavored to bring peace to several regions, and we are having difficulty dealing with the seditious and vicious lies that are being told about our advancement. We do have several of our priest king brethren who are endeavoring to overcome this through more timely transition of power, returning to individuals their own leaders, because that, what we understand, is a big challenge for the rest of the world to consider. For example, the Quoramites to not be ruled by the Golians who have been there before. But this process is a rather slow one, and we are looking for additional support in our process of peaceful negotiation. So if you see something, say something. Share with us where we might find these seditious and foul-mouthed liars and allow us to bring them to justice so that the empire's needs will be met by a peaceful transfer of power to the nation, the world's rightful control through the mortal population who were destined and who have been proven iteration after iteration to be the wisest and best controllers of the planet. After all, they are the ones who have given permission for the priest kings to open the doors of plenty and provide all with the nourishing support of nerf populations, and we are endeavoring to make this a staple in all communities. Basically, the Terran, the Mir folk might have once said, a chicken in every pot. We want a nerf in every stove. So we want to provide you with the best and most utmost in food and such. We also do have re-education programs, preparation schools, and the like to help you to handle the trauma and the difficulties that come along with the transition from a chaos-ridden world to a more peaceful one. So we want to thank you again for the time. We thank our Gnome News Network associates for the opportunity for equal time so that we can overcome some of the difficulties and challenges that have been placed on us in this time of challenge. Good luck to you, and see you all soon, perhaps on a battlefield, or more hopefully in a circle of peaceful prayer and meditation. Thank you all. Good night.